Hi, welcome back to our online class. Today we shall dive right into Hinduism. Well, let me just give you some background information, some statistics about Hinduism. Now, before we go there, let me just ask you, how many of you know Hinduism? How many of you have heard the name Hinduism? Any bell rings when you hear Hinduism? Have you seen any Hindu gods around your neighborhood or in Bangkok City? I have seen a lot. Every time you go to a mall, if you step outside, you will see there is a space called the Spirit House. And you will notice usually they will have, of course, the statue of Buddha. But sometimes you will also see some of the Hindu gods together or beside the Buddha's statue. Especially Ganesh, the elephant god. The god who has the head of an elephant but the body of a human, actually a child. You see that very popular in Thailand or anywhere there is a business enterprise. You know, it's the version of the Chinese, the Japanese, the cat that goes on like that. Have you seen that? A cat. They said that is for the money to come in. All right. Ganesha is something like that. It symbolizes prosperity, symbolizes, money and flourishing of business. It removes all the obstacles so that your business can flourish and be successful. All right. So you have seen all these things in Bangkok. But how much do you actually know some of the history behind these gods and goddesses? And that's what we will be taking a look at during this few weeks that we have in this quarter. All right, so let me now show you a few of the things that you need to know about Hinduism. Well, Hinduism started in India. All right, it started in India thousands of years ago. Now, the big question, however, is, did Hinduism actually originate in India? Is it something like made in India, or is it an idea that was imported into India? We will find that out, all right? But before we go there, let's take a look at what is the population of Hinduism today in India. Well, the Hindu population around the world, is around 700 million. Wow, that makes Hinduism the third largest religion after Christianity, Islam, comes Hinduism. 700 million. Now, there are about 1.2 billion Indians, but, they are not all Hindus. So, approximately around 700 Hindus worldwide. It could be more by the time I end this video. Where do you find them? Well, you find Hindus almost all over the world. Now, this happened because of the British colonization. When the English people came to India and they colonized India, and the Indians were very fast and quick to learn the language, the English language. I think the reason is because there was some common language roots, Hindi language and Indo-European like English. There are many common similarities, especially with the Sanskrit and the Latin. All right, there are so many similar words. And I think that was the reason for Indians to pick up the English language so fast that the British decided to use these Indians to take them all around the world wherever they went. So they took hundreds and thousands of Indians to Africa, to South Africa, to Kenya, to Tanzania. All right, they took Indians to the Caribbeans. They took all over the West Indies. They brought the Indians even to Singapore, to Malaysia, all right, Hong Kong, Australia, New Zealand. Wherever they went, they took these Indians to work for them. All right, because they could communicate with them easily. And so because of that, there was the spread of Indians, and wherever these Indians went, they took with them their religion, their culture. even in the Pacific Islands. There are many, many small islands in the Pacific, like the Fiji Island and all the other islands in the Pacific. You will also find a lot of Indians there, and they also do practice Hinduism. Sometimes the version of the Hinduism is slightly different from what you see in India, but it is still a part of Hinduism. So, today you find Hindus all over the world. All right. It's not just limited to India only, but you find Hindus all over the world. They spread everywhere because of the colonization. All right. So a lot of people have been influenced by Hindu culture and Hindu belief in the West and other places, even in the East, because Hindus were found everywhere and people came close contact with the Hindus. All right. Now, today, what I would want you to do is when you read our ebook, if you look at the first lesson, and that is introduction, but if you jump to the second lesson, all right, where it says the beginnings, if you take a look at your ebook, it's called the beginnings. Now, based on these beginnings, I have few questions for you. All right, let's look at question number 1. Where did the word Hindu come from? All right, now this is a very interesting story. Where did the word Hindu come from? Now, we know where did the word India or Indus come from. Okay, it came from the river called Indus River. All right, from there we have the Indus Valley civilization, and later on from there we have got the name India. All right, but what about Hindu? Where did we get the name called Hindu? Was there a man called Mr. Hindu? You know, because usually you see Buddhism comes from the word Buddha. There was a man named Mr. Buddha. All right, Christianity comes from the word Christ, Christian. Again, name of a person, Jesus Christ. So there was a man named Mr. Jesus. All right. But what about Hinduism? Was there a man named Mr. Hindu? So his belief became Hinduism? Well, that's an interesting story there. Let's dive in and try to find out. Now, here's the answer actually for the word, where did the Hindu come from? It actually came from a river also named as Sindhu River, found in the province of Sindh in Pakistan. All right. Now, the story goes like this, that long back there were some visitors, some foreigners. We believe it could be the Aryans. All right. When they came into the riverbank and they saw a great civilization on the other side of the river, and so they called out, hey, what is this name of this place? All right. And they shouted back, Sindhu. All right. And they said, what? Sindhu. Hindu? Sindhu. All right. So they say, the story goes like this. It's kind of funny, interesting. I do not know how true this is, but it seems like it was a mishearing. All right. They heard it Hindu when they shouted actually Sindhu River, Sindhu, but they heard it Hindu. All right. And so they started calling, oh, so these people are Hindu people. All right. Instead of saying they are Sindhis or Sindhu people, they started calling them, oh, so they are Hindu people, Hindu. And guess what? That name got stuck to Hinduism till today. But actually, that is not the name of the religion at all. Hinduism is more or less a name given by some foreigners. And most of the Hindus are like, okay, whatever it is, you want to call me Hindu, you call me Hindu. And okay, they're like, I don't mind, just call it whatever you want. It's fine with me. All right, just have some roti. Just have some roti. Let's eat and let's be friends. Let's not fight about the word. Never mind. Actually, the name for the religion is Sanatana Dharma. Did you get that? Sanatana Dharma. In my language, we call it Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma simply means eternal religion. All right. Sometimes also Hinduism is known as Brahminism. All right, because it is taught by the Brahmins. So A lot of times it is also referred to as Brahminism. So it is known as Sanatana Dharma, the eternal religion. It is also known as Brahminism, all right? But usually most of the Western people know this religion as Hinduism, all right? But in reality, according to the Hindu text, you will never find the word Hindu in the Vedas or in Bhagavad Gita. You will never find that word. In fact, you will find Sanatana Dharma or Brahminism or Brahmins, okay, but you will not find Hindu. It's a foreign name given by foreigners who misheard it. Think about it. All right, moving on. Our second question that I'm going to ask you is, why Hindus like to give shape to their gods? Explain. Well, the Hindus like to give shape to their gods because Hindus feel that if there is no concrete object, it is so hard to focus. When you have an object right there in front, it's the same thing that you see with the Buddhists doing today. Why do they put a Buddha's image there? All right, they know Buddha is not there. But why do they put a Buddha's image there? It helps them to concentrate, helps them to focus. All right. So that's the idea. The Hindus like to have shape, give shapes to their God. It's in order for them to focus. All right. And so they give a lot of different shapes. What shapes do they give? Well, they give all sorts of shapes. Okay. Not just a manly figure, maybe all looking with beard. No, it can be anything, all right? In fact, Hindus are allowed to even customize their own God, all right? You can tweak your own God the way you want it. You don't have to follow any specific norm, all right? Because it is in the mind of the beholder, all right? If I want my God to be like my mom, I will call my God a mother. All right, because I feel more close that way. So many different people like to think of their God in many different ways. So there is male, there is female, there is even young, teenage, there is even child, or there is even hybrid like the Ganesha. All right, in Thai you say Pikanet. All right, Ganesha is a hybrid elephant head with human body. So you could find things like that. There is Hanuman too, which is the monkey god, right? So you can have gods in any how you want. You can think of it in any shape because Hindus want to give a personality to the gods. When you give a personality to the gods, you can build a relationship, all right? That's the reason why they like to give shapes, to have that personal relationship. Next, what is Atman? Where does Atman live? Can Atman be equal to life? Yeah, to me, I think Atman simply means life. But the Hindus believe, as we talked about pantheism, Hindus believe that there is an essence of God within myself, all right? And so that is called the Atman. And this Atman is found in everyone, in every living creature, which I think is actually means life, all right? And so they said that life is sacred. We must respect life, right? Jains do the same thing. They respect life. That's why in Hinduism, you'll notice Brahmins, the high caste. We'll talk about the caste system later. The high caste Hindus, they do not even eat meat, all right? Because they believe that they should live a very sacred life. Killing lives is not good for your karma. Okay? So, what is Atman? Atman is the God's essence that is found in every living organism. What is eternal religion? Our next question. All right? Why is it called eternal? Well, Hindus call their religion eternal because they say that this religion was out there even before humans came into this planet. Think about it. All right? It's prehistoric. It came even before man came into the picture. All right? Some of the chantings in Hinduism are not even in human language. Think about that. All right? Some of the chantings in Hinduism are in the form of bird language. Bird, nok. Okay? Bird language. Think about it. So when they chant that, No one understands what they're chanting, but they believe that this is a very, very age-old chant, which has some kind of power, and it brings peace and blessing to the person who is chanting it. And so they like to chant. They do not know what they're chanting because it is actually a bird language. So you can see, because of this, they say that their religion is very, very old. All right? It was there even before humans came in. And so that's why it's called an eternal religion. You do not need to have a founder to begin Hinduism. And this is one thing that we will learn. There are no founders in Hinduism. Buddhism, you have Mr. Buddha. Christianity, you have Mr. Jesus. Islam, you have Mr. Muhammad. All right? Taoism, you have Mr. Lao Tzu. Zoroastrianism, you have Mr. Zarathustra. All right? But when it comes to Hinduism, where is Mr. Hindu? There is no one named Mr. Hindu. Remember, it came from a river named Sindhu. There is no name because Hinduism is an eternal religion. It was always there. All right. Let's take a look at what are the 4 problems that scholars face when it comes to the history of Hinduism. 4 problems. All right. What are the 4 problems? All right. First, there was no Hinduism before modern time. Remember the word Hinduism? Hinduism? These are all Latinized. These are all, Western forms of terms or names. So the word Hindu even wasn't there. And secondly, as we know, it's actually the name of a river. It's not even the name of the religion. So if you do research on Hinduism, you will not even go anywhere with it. You may end up on a river, but not on a religion. All right. Secondly, Hinduism is not a single religion. What does that mean? It embraces many traditions, unlike, let's say, Islam. Wherever you go, all Muslims behave the same, but not Hindus. Why? Because Hindus have so many gods and goddesses. Many Hindus like to follow certain god according to what they prefer. All right? And so because of that, Hindus in Bali, Hindus in Thailand, Hindus in South Africa, Hindus in the West Indies, in the Caribbean, Hindus in UK, Hindus in Canada, Australia, may slightly differ. All right? Yes, they still call themselves Hindus, but sometimes their rituals, the way they do things, might be very different. For example, what you will see in Malaysia and Singapore, they have this ceremony, ritual called Thaipusam. Thaipusam. Something that you will never see anywhere else. All right? Only found in Malaysia and Singapore. Not even in India. So there are some practices that are very, very localized. All right? And so it is not one single religion, and therefore it's very hard to again try to trace back which one came first. Where is this? Where did this come from? What is this? Who is the beginning of this? You can't go anywhere. You'll just be more confused. All right? Thirdly, Hindus do not have a starting point. As I told you, there is no starting point because it's Sanatana Dharma. It's eternal religion. When you call my religion is eternal, if I say my religion is eternal, you cannot put a date that it started at this time. How can it start when it's eternal? God is eternal, so he doesn't have a date of birth. All right? So, Hinduism doesn't have a date of birth because it's eternal. So that poses another problem. How do you trace? And finally, the 4th problem is Hindus are never interested in dates. Hindus are never interested in dates. So whenever Hindus write down any of their literature writings, they never put dates. Date was something very important to the Western civilization. The Greeks, the Romans, they loved to write down dates. On this date, on this day, this happened. There was an earthquake and here and here and here. Okay? They like to put dates and numbers and all that. But not Hindus. They're not into numbers. Okay? Even though we invented 0, all right? But they are not into numbers. Or instead, they like to talk about events, right? They like to talk about events, all right? So my grandma was born on a full moon night when we had the greatest flood. All right, that doesn't help, all right? When was my grandma born? It doesn't help. Now I have to look through when in the history of my country was the biggest flood and when was that full moon during that flood time. When was the full moon during that flood season? That's when my grandmother was born. It doesn't help, right? So these are some of the reasons that poses difficulty when it comes to finding the beginning of Hinduism. All right, let's quickly talk about the notion of time in Hinduism. Now, Hindus believe that time is a cycle, all right, which is the idea which will be borrowed by both the Jains, the Buddhists, and even the Sikh, all right. Any religions that came out of India will continue to uphold this idea that time is like a cycle, all right. It's a cycle. And each cycle is divided into four parts, The 4 parts are not equal, by the way. The 4 parts are not equal. The biggest part, the biggest segment of that cycle, the biggest pie of that cycle is the golden age, all right, where people are pious, like the time of Adam and Noah and Abraham. They were pious people. So that is what they call the golden age. Then came the silver age. All right. The silver age is when people started to do a little evil when Noah came in and there was flood and all those things. So then there was a little evil. All right. They call it the silver age. Then comes the bronze age where people become even more, evil. And then finally ends with the iron age, which is the age that we are living right now, which is filled with evilness. All right. So these are the 4, they call it Yug, all right, or Jug we call it, all right. It is divided into 4: the golden age, the silver age, the bronze, and the iron, all right. The golden is the biggest, the iron is the smallest. Luckily, this evil will not prevail for long. What will happen? This cycle will be destroyed. A new cycle will come up. And how long is usually one cycle? Well, according to Hindu literature, it's approximately 4.3 million years. 4.3 million years. And we probably are very, very close to the end of this cycle. All right? So that is our lesson for today. All right? About the beginning of Hinduism. Now, this lesson will continue, so please hold on. We will have a short video clip tomorrow where you will see where did these original Hindus come from, all right? And that how did Hinduism begin in India. We'll take a look at that tomorrow in a short video clip. All right, so that's for today. I hope as you heard me, you wrote it down on the Google Docs, and once you're done, you can turn in. And once you have successfully turned it in, you can now leave the Google Meet. Unless you have any question, remember I'm always in Google Meet. Feel free to ask me any questions. All right, take care. I'll see you on our next video. Bye.